Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna. Okay, let's see. There we go. Alright, today we're going to look at some fingering mantras and start learning how to use our fingers a little bit. It's a little bit more advanced playing, but it makes a lot of sense to kind of bring up everything. So we've been doing a lot of hand practice. We've been looking at Lofa tal, Pahira tal. I want to start working on some fingering. There's many different ways of using your fingers and so many different mantras that we have to practice, and we can look at all those and start to bring that component up as well. And we'll start looking at some basic kirtan mantras soon and start bringing that up, and looking at some simple Dhi structures as well in Dha Pahira, and just trying to give some basic information and all the different areas and the different levels, and then we'll just keep building on everything. So we're going to start with a more advanced fingering mantra here, but it has a lot of hand practice that we've already been kind of working on. So I wanted to start with this before we do the really basic fingering, just kind of as a introduction of how you can use these things. And this is a special mantra that is from Bablu's teachings, and it has fingering that can either be in single or double speed, and then a hand practice after that segues into switching from double speed into even 4 times speed or single to double. So whatever you're playing the fingering mantra at, you have to play double as fast for the hand practice. So you can play it as you get more advanced. You can be playing like in slow double speed and then switch into twice as fast for the hand practice. So we'll see how that works here. So this is Dha-dhini, nakadhini, dhininaka, dhinidhini. Just a simple, little bit more advanced than we're going to be learning later on in the video, but still a simple mantra for fingering, just learning how to do these things. So the first thing, so naka is always with this. We were learning last day this nak from the top on this chakra here. Cartella in the skin. And so when you're playing with your fingers, so we were talking about curving, keeping our hand more curved rather than very rigid in when you're playing with 4 fingers and thumb. Now this curve is the same benefit in fingers. So if you're really like this, very difficult to use your fingers. If you're like this, coming from the finger joints, you see these muscles are moving a lot and it's very rigid. And it's not how we're learning to play mridanga. We're learning to play with the wrist, right? So whether you're playing with the thumb acting as your index finger, or the index finger taking over the role of the thumb, whether you're going like this or like this, it doesn't make any difference. So the thumb is just helping you to understand this rotation and kind of overcompensating for what this movement is. But now you're moving into 3 fingers instead of 4 as your te. So now these 3 fingers, and then your index finger is taking over for the re. And you want to make sure that you're still making these 2 movements, open to closed. And so we're learning all these when we're going. So this is the same as like these movements from here to here. It's just a smaller, so you can play these fingering mantras quite quickly because they're very small movements. And you want to keep a curve to your hands, and you want to be playing on the pads of your fingers. you kind of touch the mridanga, but not much. These little parts here do touch the chakra a little bit, but you're not really on it too much. You're allowing that wrist to move, and you're playing on the pads of your fingers. And here's the other thing too. So you're not making these harsh sounds when you're hitting the mridanga. So when I used to play, before Bhima Karma taught me, I didn't really know the difference from learning from Bablu, what really was closed, what was open when you're playing with your fingers. It was kind of a bit of a mishmash of stuff. So we would always play like, right? So all those hits are practically open. So most people are not closing their hits and allowing everything to come together nicely. Just a sec, I gotta take a call. All right, we're back. Sorry, it's Friday morning and I had to take a business call there. So back to, so making sure that your hits are what they're supposed to be. So if you're playing a Da, then it's one finger always open, right? Now a Da, you can always make a Nak if you want as well. But there's certain circumstances where you'll want it to be a Da rather than a Nak, and it just flows better. As we see more mantras, we'll start to see how that comes together. Now, Dhi-ni. D is always T, right? T, T-ni, T-ni, Dhi-ni, Dhi-ni. Now the fingers are curved, and you're on the pads, and you're not making a loud... So again, you're not making large sounds. We're not, we're not making harsh sounds. It's very delicate fingering, it's a little bit more rasic, a little bit less aggressive, and as Bhima Karma would explain, a little bit more prakriti, a little bit more foundational, a little bit more masculine and rigid. And what Bablu teaches is a lot more prakriti, a lot more flamboyant, faster, a lot more hand practice types of things. And so I feel like bringing the two styles together really makes your playing the best, because you've got the strong foundation, you've got the prakriti, you understand how to keep nice beats, playing simple fingering mantras, but then you can also explode into prakriti mantras as well. And this is a perfect balance of learning those two together and how they can be used to make a mantra that has both the female and the masculine. So these are little movements. We're not making large sounds. The dhinis, they're not meant to be, intrusive into the mantra. The naks and the das and certain portions of the mantra, generally the das or the naks are the most important. The dhinis are soft and they're on the pads of the fingers. They're not open and they're not loud, closed. And they're just there to balance the mantra. So we're going to start with Da. Now you would think that you'd start with one finger. You could, but because the second half of this mantra is hand practice, then we're actually ending on 4 fingers Ta. So I like to start with the 4 fingers here. So Da, Dhi-ni, Da, Dhi-ni, Da, Dhi-ni. Now this could be Dhi-ni, Dhi-ni, but we're having a Dha-dhini, so we're having Da take up 2 spots here. Dha-dhini. And then, so when you're coming from Dhi-ni, and you'll see how this works with the other mantras. Now when from 3 fingers, you always come into the nak, right? Da-dhini, nak. Dhini, naka, dhini, dhini, naka, dhini, dhini. So let's do it again. Da-dhini, naka. So this naka, you always want to play this. Don't play da-dhini, nak. Dhini, dhini, nak. Sounds very harsh. It's actually harder to play faster because you're not having a smoothing mantra there to really kind of blend everything together, and it's harder to find that correct spacing. So always use these smoothing mantras: dhinidhini-naka, dhinidhini-naka, dhinidhini. Dha-dhini-naka, dhinidhini-naka, dhinidhini. Keep your fingers curved and soft. Dha-dhini-naka, dhinidhini. Dha-dhini-naka, dhinidhini-naka, dhinidhini. And you see I still have this curve to my hand and the 45 roughly. So if we're here or here, it's the same position. So you want to not change positions too much from fingering to here, else you're going to lose speed again. So this mantra, we're segueing into 4 fingers and thumb. And so you don't want to have to change positions as well. So everything should be roughly in the same position. Obviously, it's not going to be exact. But how you're playing like this should also be playing how you are with your fingers. So let's go. Dha-dhini-naka, dhinidhini-naka, dhinidhini. 3 fingers closed, 1 finger closed. All fingers are closed except the da, and the nak makes technically an open sound, but not really. Everything else is closed, so it's not, we're not using these knees as kind of half open closed, which is how, most people play and how I used to think to play as well. But it's just a much higher practice and a much nicer sound to keep everything how it's supposed to be with the close. So very gentle. So da, doesn't make much sound. Da. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. So then this goes, second part, double speed. De, 3 fingers, ge. Always de if you're using 3 fingers. De, din. Ti, dini, din. De, din. 1 finger. De, din. De, din. So you're playing tere, 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 tere. Now you're just playing tere, but you're going de, din with de, din. Space. De, space, din, space. De, din, tere, tere, keta, taka, tereketa, tereketa, keta, tere, ketatak-tereketa. Right? And then we learn this part too. Kereteretereketa, tereketa, tereketa, kereteretereketa, tereketa, tereketa. So the whole mantra is Dhe-dhin, Tere, keta-taka-tereketa, tereketakeretereketa, tak-tere, kereteretereketa, tereketa, tereketa, kereteretereketa, tereketa, tere, kereteretereketa, kereteretereketa, keretereketa, keretereteketa. So let's see that. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. confused about what I was doing there. But you want to practice so you get faster and faster. So as it gets faster, then the speed starts to come up, and this becomes harder. But always when I'm on camera, I'm thinking about what am I doing on camera, and then I lose track of what I'm doing. And anyways, so Dha-dhini, nakadhini, nakadhini, and then you can just use anyways, that's something different. But yeah, so let's go through this a little slower. So Dha-dhini, nakadhini, dhininaka, dhini, dhini, Dhe-dhin-teretere, ketatak-tereketa, so again, Dha-dhini, nakadhini, dhininaka, dhini, dhini, So that's training your hand to segue between single and double speed, or double speed and quadruple speed, I guess. So that's fun. So let's move to some very simple finger practice and start learning about how these work. So here we're starting with the guru and lagu. Very simple. So we've already learned similar things, but now we're learning Dere, gete instead of Dere, gena. Now this becomes Dere, 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 gete. Dere, gete. But you don't practice like that. So fingering's a little bit different. We're not able to really use Dere, gena, tereketa as its own section because it ends on the te. You want to get onto the ta, and the way that you do that is going Dere, gete, tage, tage. So you have to add 2 more pieces for it to fit properly. So instead of just 2 sections, we actually have 4 now. So you have to go Dere, gete, de, de, 3 fingers, Dere, gete, Dere, gete. Very soft, loose, Dere, gete. Again, we're not making loud sounds. They're not making open sounds. They're closed. They're on the pads of the fingers. You're feeling very connected to Mridanga. Dere, gete, tage, tage, Dere, gete. Dere, gete. Dere, gete. Dere, gete. Now, what's the lagu? Terekete. 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 keep that index finger very close to the mridanga. Keep it curved. The more curved that your fingers are, the less space that they have to travel. See? They're tight, very far to travel, and you can just curl them onto the mridanga. See that? And right there, onto the pads. Very easy, coming from the wrist. Very small movements, very soft. Little hard to get onto the Dere, a little bit more advanced. We're making it easier in some mantras that you know, you don't have to play the day part. But for this, there's not really like, you wouldn't play Tere, gete, tage. I mean, let me see. Tage, tage, tere, gete, tage, tage, tere, gete, tage, tere, gete, tage, tere, gete. We do use some versions of this in different places, but for here, it's best to learn this way because you're getting a true guru and a true lagu, and you're not cheating, and you're learning how to play a little bit more advanced by getting that Dere gete. So when you're going Dere gete taka taka Dere gete taka taka, you're up here, and then you have to quickly come down for the day again. So it's training your bottom hand. See, Dere gete taka taka Dere gete. So this bottom hand's doing a lot of work. It takes a lot of balance and rhythm to get that going. So let's look at this once more. Dere gete tage tage, dere gete take take, dere gete take take, tere gete take take. See the rotation? So, moving on from there, you can just play starting, not with the guru, but you can just play Tere gete. Tere gete taka taka, Tere gete taka taka, Tere gete taka taka, Tere gete taka taka, Tere gete taka taka. So you can also practice Tere gete taka, Tere gete taka, Tere gete taka, Tere gete taka. Tere gete taka for three jatis here. Tere gete taka, Tere gete taka. Rotate the wrist. Tere gete taka. See, this is the same as dhinidhini tere taka, right? Opening the hand. Exactly the same. That's why we practice the hand, so we can use our fingers. Tere gete taka, 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 tere gete taka. Tere gete taka, tere gete taka, tere gete taka, tere gete taka, tere gete taka. Right? So that's cool. I'll add that in. I didn't have that written down, but we'll add that in as well. And let's look at one more maybe. So then you got Dere gete taka, Dere gete gete taka, Dere gete taka, taka. Oh yeah. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So now we're using what I was just showing you, Dere gete taka, Tere gete taka. So it's this Bol, let me see, Bol Jati, how it's overlain. And so we're using Bol Jati 3, 3, and 2, right? Dere gete tage, Tisra, Dere gete tage, Tisra, Catur, tage. Tisra, Catur, Tisra, Catur. Now 3, 3, and 2 equals 8. Dere gete tage, Dere gete tage, tage. Tere gete tage, Tere gete tage, tage. Dere gete tage, Dere gete tage, tage. Tere gete tage, Dere gete tage. So that's cool. If you guys have any questions, just let me know, and we'll continue on with this next class. Hare Krishna.